Hello friends, this is the Crafty Chemist, also known as Happay. I got this box in the mail today. I bought it myself. They're twist up non-toxic watercolor gel crayons for ages 3 and up. And I have seen many people using them in many different ways on videos that I watch. The colors are really bright and pretty. And so I started playing with them a little bit just to see what I was thinking of it. And I have a few thoughts. So I am going to share those thoughts with you. I am just going to use this paper that came from one of my Castle Art coloring pencil sets and just do a few things to show what I've tried and what I think is working. So the first thing I tried was just coloring with the crayon straight onto the paper. And it does make a very bright colored blob on there. And I have these little makeup things and I took it and I smeared it around. And it looks actually okay doing that. And then, so I figured, you know, I could do that way. I also used this glass thing here and colored on there and picked up color that way and colored around on it this way. And these are water soluble things. So actually I prefer this way where I have colored straight onto the paper versus using this to go on here. I also have some of the brushes. I've got it, I covered it up here. Oops, I just sent a little watercolor palette flying. So I discovered I had to put a lot of the crayon onto the paper before I could see any color appearing on the paper, even if there's appears to be a lot on this brush. And you actually have to work it quite a bit to get it to go in here. And this is the most common way I've seen people using these gel crayons or gel watercolors or gel highlighters, is that it takes a lot. They're like, they use a brush and then they put it on there like that. If there are little bits of area where there's a lot of the color, then it does leave a streak, and you really have to like work to get this onto the paper versus the other two ways that I did it. One with the foam brush. I mean, there's still a lot left on the foam brush, and even if it got a little streaky, I could, you know, pick some more of the color up and get it blended out a little bit better with the little foam brush. Now, I don't actually prefer to use this foam brush. The way I actually prefer to use these, which is something I've just figured out by playing around with it, is with a actual paintbrush. And you can use the water on the paper to activate things. And so that would potentially smooth things out in these other areas where it's been applied in other ways. But since it's gotten ground down into the tooth of the paper, it's gonna leave behind some of that color in the paper when you activate it with the water. And it does not do very well straight off of one of these areas where it's been colored onto the paper. What I actually found was the best way, in my opinion, was to use it off of the palette. Get the water into that crayon and just use it like watercolor. It makes the smoothest color on the paper. and you can always adjust the amount of that color that's there and make it nice and even, because it does move from its original location. So I can move this color around a lot. If I don't have any dried spaces on here, but you can see where this one was, the water leaves like little empty spaces in there. I just really didn't think that this brush method worked all that well, and I tried it with a couple of different brushes, smaller brushes. One of my smaller ones, I got nothing on there for all the work. So I guess it can give an even thing. I could try it on different paper, but my favorite really is just using this like a watercolor and painting it on that way. And I feel like you could get into some really close-up areas with things. Even with my big brush here, I could do some detailed work with it. So I think I'll probably be using these as watercolor. If you have used them in other ways besides this, or this works out for you really well, I did get quite a bit of the color off of here, but I just feel like not very much color is going onto the paper for how much work I have to put into trying to get it on the paper. And I'm going to have to wash this off now. And I've been using these for chalk pastels, and they work fine with that. I feel like it's a lot more work to do it this way. Now maybe it's more permanent. I haven't tried erasing anything. I'll just pull an eraser out here. So that actually does erase it pretty well. But it looks like I can even, well, that kind of messed up the paper because it was wet. But if I had a dry spot, I would try erasing it off of the dry spot, and so it wouldn't mess up the paper. But actually that one's pretty dry. So you can lighten the color, looks like, with an eraser on these areas where the paint has dried, or the watercolor has dried from the crayon. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that Happay coloring, and see you in the next video.